consciousness is awareness, and awareness is paying attention and noticing. So I think the first step is to become conscious that we're a certain way. And sometimes it lands as an insight or a download or a life experience that just kind of goes, you go, whoa, like, so I behaved this way, or I did this thing. So I think when you don't have that, you don't have a conscience, and you can just keep staying in that world. But sooner or later, you have to become aware. Yeah. But what we know is that the more you practice being present, the better you get at it.
Okay.
And so how do you do that? If you sit in a meditation, right? And so there's a mode in the brain called default mode, and it's just always busy. It's consuming enormous amounts of energy in the brain, and it's always trying to predict the future based on what it knows in the past. It's a kind of an anticipation machine. It's always trying to fill in a known in reality so we feel safe. So a default mode system in the brain, when you close your eyes in a meditation, is going to immediately go into overdrive. It's going to say, oh, my back hurts a little bit. I'm kind of thirsty. How long is this going to go? I really don't want to do this. I don't like the music. It might be too long. Oh, I'm starting to get a little frustrated. I want to lay down. All of this stuff comes up. And then people have the belief and they say, I can't meditate. That's their conclusion from the experience. That's their I'm not a good meditator. That's their affirmation. That's their belief, right? From that experience. But if you say to a person, listen, that's normal, but every time you catch yourself going unconscious and become conscious, that's a victory. And as tedious as it may be in the beginning, the more you catch yourself going unconscious and becoming conscious, the more conscious you become in your life. And all of a sudden, you begin to pay attention to things that you weren't paying attention to before. So in the work that we do, we say that being in the present moment, truly in the present moment, is being comfortable in the unknown, right? The present moment is the unknown because there is the familiar past that we feel emotionally, and we have the predictable future, which are both the knowns. Being in the present moment is being in the unknown, and that goes against thousands of years of programming because our biology is programmed that if we are truly in the unknown, we should be in survival. Because if you're in survival and you're in the fight or flight system, the unknown is a threat, it's a danger. So always try to predict the future based on the past, and you'll have better chances of survival. Predict the worst case scenario. Be ready for that. Anything less that happens, you have better chance of surviving. So then to rest in the unknown goes against a lot of our biology. And we discovered that when a person keeps doing it over and over again, the body gets agitated, it gets frustrated, it gets impatient. Instead of the person saying, I quit, give them something to do, and they can lower the volume to the emotion and settle the animal down, like training an animal. Settling the body back down into the present moment. We teach people how to do that, and that's the victory.
Giving them something to do.
Yeah, they have something to do when that comes up, okay?
Which is?
I'll get to it in a second. And if they catch their mind going from a person to another object, to their cell phone, to their computer, to a place they need to be, and at a time, and they catch themselves with their brain firing in modulated compartments. If they keep catching themselves doing that, if they keep doing that and they catch the circuit when it's firing and they settle it down, in time, sooner or later, they're going to stop firing those circuits in the brain. And their brain waves begin to change from an agitated, aroused state into a more coherent and slower brainwave state. So when they do this enough times, the brain begins to synchronize. The brain begins to fire in greater levels of wholeness or greater levels of order. So when that occurs, then the nervous system gets very regulated, gets very orderly. The autonomic nervous system moves into a state of regulation. Dysregulation of the autonomic nervous system is called stress, right? So to answer your question, when people do this really well, in just a few days, they'll get really good at it. The side effect of that is they get very relaxed in their heart. It's relaxed in the heart, and it's awake in the brain. And the more relaxed you get in your heart, we've discovered, really relaxing into your heart, the more the heart informs the brain to get creative. And so now the person has this kind of synchronization that's taking place between their heart and their brain as well. And they can rest in the present moment. So the way you do that is you define what it really means to change. And to change is to be greater than the conditions in your environment, to be able to think, act, and feel differently in your same environment. That's what change is. To change is to be greater than your body, to be greater than its drives, in the meditation I'm speaking specifically, greater than its emotional responses, its memories, its emotional reactions, greater than its habits. The habit is when you've done something so many times, the body knows how to do it better than the conscious mind. That's so if you're sitting in a meditation, your body wants to get up and wants to get going, and got people to see, things to do. That's kind of like automatic, right? And people get up and they say, I can't meditate. But if you tell them that when you notice that, you bring your body back into the present moment, you settle it down, and tell it it's no longer the mind, that you're the mind. You're training the animal. Sooner or later, the body literally responds to a new mind. And there's literally a liberation of energy. The body begins to liberate energy. And if the person's not thinking about time, if you're not thinking about where you need to be, where you need to go, where you were yesterday, where you're sitting, where you live, if you're not thinking about any place, you can go from somewhere to nowhere. And if you're not thinking about the predictable future or the familiar past, you can go from some time to no time. And we discovered when a person becomes nobody, no one, no thing, nowhere, and no time, they literally become pure consciousness. And opening our awareness, I know this is kind of difficult to explain because we're materialists, opening our awareness to nothing and sensing space tends to cause us to move more into the eternal present moment. And there's a change that takes place in the brain. So we teach that.
And what awareness comes out of that state? So if I'm looking to change my life because, I'm continually performing habits that are not optimal, I want to be married and have a family, and I want to be productive in my work, and I want to go to the gym, and etc. And my life is just in this horrible cycle of the same old, and I feel shit about myself. I know what I say I want, but I feel shit about myself. Well, what's going to emerge from that process of deep meditation in terms of awareness?
You'll become so conscious of those unconscious habits that more than likely you won't want to do them again. And that's what, for the most part, change is about. So I think people wait for crisis, they wait for disease, they wait for a betrayal, something to go wrong in their life. And that's when they go, okay, I'm ready to change. My message is, why wait, dude? Why wait for that? We can learn and change in a state of pain and suffering. We can learn and change in a state of joy and inspiration. So then you get a collective group of people together that really may have all those bad habits. They may even have bad habits that they don't even know they have. And then all of a sudden they become aware that they've been blaming and complaining and making excuses and feeling sorry for themselves and procrastinating. And they start to